Sup YouTube, it's ZapdosTCG here, and welcome back to our TCG video on my channel. On this channel you get tons of Pokemon TCG content, so be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. And if you like what you see, feel free to leave a like, it helps out the channel tremendously, it's super effective, and the YouTube algorithm loves it, including myself, so I'm very grateful if you would do so. With that being said, today's topic is, if you clicked on this video, why are Pokemon members leaving the community, or why do Pokemon players quit the game currently? A very important topic that I want to be talking about today. So for the people that want to have some positive info left and right, you're gonna be getting I'm gonna be the bringer of bad news for people that want to be playing competitively on the highest level and are always talking about the meta left and right. We're gonna be talking about everything today. First of all, we're going to be checking out this X/Twitter post. It actually is from Jake Gearhart, the number one person creating discussion talking points on Twitter. We've seen it before with like the Iron Hands scared off and stuff like that. So let's talk about this Twitter post. I have decided to take an indefinite break from official Pokemon TCG tournaments. Baffling card design from Creatures Inc. combined with horrible tournament structure changes and policy decisions by TPCI have ended what was the best time to play the game in over half a decade. Oh, this is a really hard breaking Twitter post to see, because people always want to see the game grow and everyone playing and everyone having a great time. But there are a couple of things that were released recently that made people questioning the game design by Creatures Inc. And that's more in particular, let's just go over to the tournament results real quick. And that is the reason. Let's just talk about Dortmund Regionals as a little example. Dortmund Regionals happened in Europe, so I have a little bit more of an understanding of what happened here. Okay, so first of all, we see a lot of great competitive decks. You see them right here. I don't know if you can see them in the order. Maybe I should just enlarge just a little tiny little bit like this. Yeah, now you can see like the placements and stuff. Perfect. So what do we see here is a lot of placements, a lot of decks, and do you see the menace that is right now in a lot of decks? It is Dusknoir. Dusknoir is one of those cards. Let's just click on the first place winning list here and just open up Dusknoir here. This is the menace of the format currently. The Cursed Blast ability, you blow yourself up, you put 13 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and then you also give up a prize. So this, in combination with Briar, has completely sped up the game. So a lot of decks that, think about Terrapagus, think about Charizard, for example, can win in just 2 attacks. I know, it's ridiculous. I've been playing ever since 2011, and we've seen our fair share of crazy cards left and right. I think about ADP, for example, also sped up the game tremendously in 2 attacks. You win the game. That was it, right? But now with Dusknoir, it also makes one prize decks like really bad in the game. Not only do we have Kyurem, which was released in Shroud of Fable, we also got Dusknoir, also released in Shroud of Fable. In combination with all of that, the comeback mechanic that they so hyped up during a couple of Worlds ago, I think at the Worlds 2022, where they announced comeback mechanics and everyone was really hyped for comeback mechanics. We got Counter Catcher, we got Iono, Defiance Band, all of those comeback mechanic cards are super nice. Even Unfair Stamp, you know? Really powerful cards, but the problem with all of that is Fezandipiti, another card here from Shroud of Fables that made sure that, you're going for hand disruption, forget about it. You can just keep on drawing cards. I've seen a lot of situations where I Iono the opponent to 1 card, where they then go for Mew EX to draw cards, then go for Fezandipiti to draw cards, then go for Teal Mask Ogerpon to draw cards, then find a Pokestop to draw cards. I'm like, why did I Iono to 1 when the opponent can literally draw their entire deck? I've done that a couple of times up against stuff like, for example, Regidrago decks. I've done that against Raging Bolt decks. Is like Fezandipiti that is in the game currently. Make sure that if you want to be playing from behind, decks like, for example, Gardevoir, like are loving the way you can play from behind with Ionos and Counter Catchers and all that good stuff. But now Yeah, it doesn't work any longer. Like in the past, there were situations where you can trap opponents and then go for an Iona to 1, pray they don't have it, and then following turn you go for boss and you win games like that, right? Who remembers like you Roxanning someone to only 2 cards and they can't draw out of it? Now everyone draws out of everything. Unfair Stamp, Iona, Roxanne, you name it. Everyone draws out of it because of Fezandipiti. You might think, oh, Creatures Inc. just copy-pasted Oricorio GX from Unified Minds, I believe it was, or Cosmic Eclipse. Correct me if I'm wrong. It doesn't matter. The card only had 170 HP and was released in a time where ADP was around, which meant like they could just Alter Creation GX and take 3 prize cards on that and knock out the Denny on top of it and they win the game. So then it was kind of bad to be playing Oricorio Jax. It was a liability, but Fezandipiti is not a liability at all. 210 HP. There's countless amounts of cards in the format right now that have that HP that are still sitting on the bench regardless. You think about a Teal Mask Ogrepon, and also we're playing Rotom, we're playing Luminion, we're playing Squawkabilly. Yeah, the Fezandipiti being on the board doesn't indicate that the opponent will just instantly go after this one first, unless they can slap that amount of damage. Like most of the time, like imagine like a Scream Tail that could slap 160 damage with the Roaring Scream. Well, that only is gonna be knocking out the Squawkabilly, and Fezandipiti has more HP. So Hand Disruption is gone. One price Rogue decks, anti-meta decks no longer have a shot at the game because of Kyurem, because of the fact that there's Dragapult in the format which spreads damage, and Dragapult is included as its own deck, but also in the Regidrago VSTAR deck. Dragapult spreading around with a Phantom Dive. There is Dusknoir popping left and right, which can knock out one prize Pokemon, and that's just way too much to handle. So definitely in combination with like Radiant Greninja, like now the Palkia deck has been performing quite well, popularized by Stefan Ivanov here. That means that you can pop a Dusknoir and out of nowhere, even if they play Manaphy, it no longer is an issue because Dusknoir can pop something, Radiant Greninja powered up by a Palkia V-Star can then knock out 2 more threats. So setup decks have it really, really hard, and if you're just relying on the one prize deck, you're not going to be winning tournaments. It's as simple as that. All the decks currently in the format are based on 2 prize Pokemon, whether they are EXs or V-Stars. That's pretty much the fact. And if we take a look at the amount of Dusknoir that is played, like this was Dortmund, for example, we have 1, 2. I think there was even a Dusknoir in this line as well. Yeah, so the Regibolt even joins the Dusknoir hype. So that's 3 decks playing Dusknoir in that top 8. So that's a lot. So almost half of the top 8 there played Dusknoir, and Dusknoir just bullies out so many Pokemon. And another fact that people don't love playing the game right now is that we are currently in a meta where going first gets rewarded so much. The Pokestop, Night Stretcher, and Dusknoir combos are just crazy. They are being used in a lot of decks currently, and not only Palkia V-Star decks, but also the new Terrapagus deck. You see a lot of very skillful players opted to go for that deck, and for good reason, because the deck is really powerful, and when you go first, it is really great. In Japan, they are a little bit less fan of Dusknoir shenanigans as they play best of 1, where the game was created, and it was created for best of 1, so there's that. With all of that being said, we are also in a situation currently where the game has grown so much that tournaments with 2,000 players, for example, are really common these days. And another fun fact that we're going to be taking a look at right here is the post of Alex Szymanski. It states here, I got 18th, top 32 from a 4-0 finish in day 2. This is nonsense and genuinely makes me want to quit. So, another person talking about this is not great to be in right now. So not only is the format really fast and hostile to like one prize decks, and comeback mechanics are like unheard of, meaning I lost the coin flip, the opponent was able to set up, I can like play from behind playing comeback cards, but it doesn't work because Fezandipiti is around. You see where we're going with this? Coin flip reliant situations are really, really bad for the game. And on top of that, even if you like got into that day 2, that prestigious day 2 where you got 6-2, you still have no shots of getting a secured spot in top 8. Even if you win all of your rounds, that's not secured. Yeah, there's a lot of players that were actually going for I think there were 2 players going 4-0 in day 2 and didn't even get into the asymmetrical top, if I'm not mistaken. So no top 8s there. How do we fix this issue? Like, why did this actually happen? Like, in Dortmund, we have less of a problem because I think we had an asymmetrical cup with like 9 people, if I'm not mistaken. Here we had a different story, and also the fact that there were more players. I think in Louisville, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just return to Louisville. Louisville had 1,938 players. Dortmund regionals had 1,815. So at the Louis regionals, we're going to be talking about that in a minute. We also see a bunch of Dusknoirs, and all the decks that don't have a shot at winning against Dusknoir decks are not around too much, because like 50% of the time you will see a Dusknoir variant, which is scary. I know. And because that tournament size over at Louisville was like really high, there was a situation where people that went into day 2 with 6-2 won all the rest of their rounds, didn't even get into top 8, and were not able to win the entire event. Meaning, currently we're in the state of the game where if you lose 2, you might be out of the tournament. So, how scary is that? They implemented the new structure, the same structure that they use for the World Championships, meaning that most of the time it will be 8 rounds, unless you're over 2,000 players, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that. We're going to be checking it out later, but the main thing is clear. If you're underneath like 2,000 players, you're actually going to have only 8 rounds in day 1. And that means that if you go 6-2, you have a shot at whiffing top 8. Even if you win the rest of your, all the rest of your rounds. That's so crazy to think about, and also makes people want to quit right now. So now we have 2 topics. People want to be quitting because the system is not great. I think also Azul said something about this. A very known player in the community, of course. They're all actually submitting support tickets, so that is also something you could do. How to fix this problem? You can add support tickets, and if everyone in the community is actually entering support tickets, Pokemon can actually listen to help better the community, because deep down TPCI actually wants to listen to the community. They have done it before. It does take a lot of time for them to listen, so the more support tickets that are flying in, the better. So I'll be submitting a support ticket myself. I don't think there's a need for additional rounds, but rather anyone who is X2 be added to the top cut. No matter what change you want to see, you should submit a support ticket so we can hopefully see some change. That is actually on the post that Jay Gerhardt actually submitted, because the reason why they don't want to be playing any further is that the format also like forces you to go for gentlemen's agreements. I have so many, like every single time there's a regionals and I open Twitter, there has been a discussion about this player did not respect the gentlemen's agreement. I personally don't do gentlemen's agreements very often. I think like 1 every 2 years or something like that, because I specifically play really fast and always play like a really turbo deck, so I don't have any issues with that. But you are forced to play for gentlemen's agreements because tying is dying, definitely when there's only 8 rounds during day 1. And that's also something really bad about the game. Like people have been like going, definitely with this statement, as tying is dying, people will be going for gentlemen's agreements as soon as the first round. How annoying is that? Like, please, can we go for gentlemen's agreements? I would rather go for the old structure where 6-2-1 gets you into day 2 and then you get more rounds. Also, another fact we should note here is that we are all paying a lot of money to be playing these regionals, and now we're actually playing less Pokemon. Meaning we play 2 rounds less, or maybe even 3. Like imagine you go for 9 rounds in day 1 and then 6 rounds in day 2, like a very big regionals like it used to be last season. You're playing 15 rounds if all goes well, and even if you go like to top 8 and then top 4, you could be practically playing 18 rounds. Which is crazy. A good amount of practice and fun for your money. But now, when you only are able to play 8 rounds during day 1 and 4 during day 2, you're actually only combined with like 12 rounds and 15 at most. So they're cutting a lot of rounds, meaning you play less Pokemon for the same amount of money. And they didn't reduce the price for regionals, not at all. So about regionals, I also saw here Azul saying here, I don't think I'll be attending any events if X2 isn't guaranteed to make a cut. And that also will force a lot of players. Like this season, we're going for the top 125, right? The race is on in every region in the world. And that makes it really hard because sometimes it's out of your control, like, oh no, you are not into the top 8, even though you won all your rounds during day 2. Yeah, more people will go and climb. I would say they will just come over you on the ranked ladder. Like every single time you just wake up after regionals, like, oh no, I didn't make a deep finish just because X2 doesn't guarantee a top 8 spot. So very hard this season, for sure. So there's that. There's a ton of Dusknoir. So that's what we were going to be talking about here in this video. Just a little chit chat about the format and where we're at currently. For me personally, I don't know how to feel about it. I have been in worse formats. I remember the Vivid Voltage for Everlasting format that was like with the was that with the ADP stuff and stuff? Nah, I don't know. It felt like really crazy. We also had Pikarom with Marshadow. Well, I let newer players play that specific format where you just go turn 1, you just get nothing. I know. And people are also like going crazy about the new Rotom that can discard all the trainer cards and tool cards in your hand. Not as powerful as people claim it to be, but still another one of those cards. Another thing, are they going to ban Dusknoir? It's up in debates. People can be talking about Dusknoir all they want, but let's take a look at Louisville Regionals here, where we see, Lost Box returning, funky enough. So where we have Dusknoir and Palkia, Dusknoir and Charizard, Dusknoir and Terapagos, and that's it. Again, only 3 Dusknoir variants into top 8. But if you just scroll over, there's tons of Dusknoir to be seen, and Dusknoir makes specific decks just unplayable. The problem is that Dusknoir is so splashable. We see it. Let's just talk about the decks, right? Statistics, yeah. Let's talk about the top 10 decks, right? Raging Bolt is not playing the Dusknoir. Terapagos is playing Dusknoir. Regidraco not playing Dusknoir. Lugia not playing Dusknoir. Snorlax is actually Charizard is playing the Dusknoir variants. There is Snorlax not playing that. Palkia is playing Dusknoir, and Dracopult is playing Dusknoir. That's 4 out of the 10 decks. As mentioned, it's a 40% chance. Definitely because most of these decks are like tier A or above decks that you will encounter a Duskull at one point, and then if you lose the coin flip, it might be all over. We're also coming back with a format where there is a very powerful Blood Moon around the horizon, where, yeah, if the opponent has like a few prizes remaining, you can just attack for 0 energies, and how cool is that? You blow up everything and just end with a Blood Moon. Yeah, but there is a lot of variety. I just want to point out a very positive thing about this. I played, in total, only 1 regional in this format, and I didn't have any troubles. I did lose against Dusknoir variants, yeah. Against Charizard actually twice. That was the only losses I had. I was playing Lugia, by the way, my World 60, and didn't even change a single card. But it seems that the Dusknoir variants do have the upper hand in this format, and the coin flip is really important. The cool thing, however, let's just end on a positive note, as mentioned, is that there is a ton of room for creativity with multiple prize decks. I know, but not with 1 prize decks. So we've seen the introduction of like 4 Bravery Charms in Raging Bolt. We've seen the reintroduction of Lost Box in the format. Terapagos recently was just written off because in Japan it didn't perform all too well. But then in Dortmund, everyone, all the best players were actually rocking. Well, a lot of the best players, I would say, were rocking the Terapagos, and they were really inventive with all the stuff they included there. And there's still a lot of like decks that do not have a problem with Dusknoir being said, like stuff like, for example, Raging Bolt, Lugia, Snorlax. There are still decks that are thriving, so don't give up on the format, because the format has a lot of top decks that are different. In this top 8, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different archetypes. That is not bad, right? If we're taking a look at the Dortmund regionals, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 archetypes. 7 different archetypes in the top 8. So the game is not doomed quite yet, but I want to know your opinion down below. That's why we're making this video. What do you have a problem with currently in this structure/format? Will Surging Sparks actually be the answer? Most likely not, as we did see what Japan is currently playing. a little bit of the same, except for like Archulodon and Cerulege coming into the format. But I want to hear your opinion. Let's get some discussion started over here with the ZapdosTCG community down below in the comments. How do you feel about the Stellar Crown format? Do you have a problem with Dusknoir? Should it be banned? And what do you think about X2 not making top cut? I really want to hear your opinions down below. And thanks for watching today's upload. I'll be back tomorrow for more Pokemon TCG content. As always, subscribe for more competitive Pokemon TCG content. And as mentioned, if you like what you see, feel free to leave a like. Helps out the channel tremendously. Have an awesome rest of your day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.